Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I want to talk about my portfolio performance over February. And I'm going to look at this in terms of dividends. I mean, this last week has been quite crazy when you look at how the stock market reacted. And my portfolio was no different to that. When I started preparing for this video, my portfolio value was around 118,000. As I speak, it is now 113,000 and it looks like it could drop a little bit more. But I am a dividend growth investor at the end of the day, and I prefer to track my performance through growth in dividends. I know it's not popular opinion, and I know some people like to compare themselves against the S&P 500. At the end of the day, I'm not here to try and beat any market or index. I'm just here trying to grow my dividends each and every month until I reach financial independence. So with all that said, let's jump over to the spreadsheet and have a look at how I did in February. Now, before I get started, let me tell you about the two ways I like to track my dividend income. The first one is with this spreadsheet. Now, I can take absolutely zero credit for this spreadsheet as it was designed and prepared by European DGI. Now, luckily, this is free on his website, and if you want to grab a copy of it, simply go to europeandgi.com, go to the section that says Get Started, and if you scroll down, it will say Track Your Holdings and Dividends for free. And all you have to do is click that and follow the instructions, and you'll be able to download that template for free. The second way I like to track my dividends is actually through an app called Snowball Analytics. And I actually really like this application. I do prefer Excel or a G Sheet because I have more functionality, especially when I'm analyzing something I can have a little bit more control. But in terms of a web interface or even from your mobile, I actually use this a lot more on my mobile than I do on a desktop. I think this is fantastic. So whenever I'm out and about and I want to check something, I usually would use Snowball Analytics as opposed to my Excel sheet. But if I want to drill down into my numbers and maybe customize one or two things, I look at the G sheet. So for this video, I will probably flick between both, but I will primarily use the G sheet. So let's dive into this G sheet. Now in the ultimate figures, there's two main values that I look at. The first one is the portfolio value. Now, admittedly, this is something I never used to track until I was getting close to that 100k mark. And then it almost became like a game. I wanted to reach that 100k because, as everyone says, it is one of the most satisfying numbers to reach when investing. When I was preparing for this video, it was around 118,000, but over the last few days, it has dropped quite a bit and is sitting at 113,000. Now, I have to say, I am a little bit addicted in watching this, but it doesn't impact my investment decisions all that much. However, look at this chart. I just love how that just goes up and up and up. There's a few bumps in the roads, but you can see the trajectory is pretty much up. And that is because I invest every single month pretty much the same amount of money. I think this consistency, along with a market that's quite hot at the moment, has helped me over the last few years. However, as good as this is to look at, the most important number on this spreadsheet for me is this projected annual dividend income. Now this sits at around 6,500, which is around 17% off my total goal of €40,000 every year in dividend income. Now one of the best things of being a dividend investor is to look at your dividends over time and seeing how they have grown. And as you can see here, my 5-year comparison from 2020 as far as 2024, that growth has been like a staircase. I earned just under 1,500 in dividend income in 2020, and last year it was just under the 6,000 mark. So I'm already on track to beat that for this year, but my goal will be to push that further and possibly reach the 7,000 mark if I can. The chart beside that will just show you a 3-year comparison year over year by month and how much the dividend has grown or not grown in some cases during that time period. You can see in January that I had growth in every month, the same in February, and I'm hoping in March it will be more of the same. As a European investor, have a look out for May and June and even July, as they are some of my biggest months for dividend income, particularly for companies that only pay me dividends once every year. In terms of my top positions, ASR, Agree Realty and British American Tobacco are still my top 3 positions. I did a video on this not so long ago, so I will link to that in the description below. My top 10 positions make up roughly 40% of my overall portfolio value. And you can see a lot of these have grown into that position. For example, SHEL has seen 140% growth since I've owned them. Brookfield Asset Management has seen 30% growth, and even British American Tobacco has seen 22.27% growth. In terms of dividend income, the 3 companies that pay me the most again are ASR and NN Group. followed by British American Tobacco. They currently make up around 23% of my overall dividend income, which is actually quite high when you think about it only coming from 3 companies. But as my portfolio grows and I dollar cost average into other positions, this will naturally come down over time. The current dividend yield of all my positions would be 5.81%, but for those who prefer to track yield on cost, it currently sits at 6.38%. And actually one company I'm proud of here is, again, Royal Dutch Shell, who have a yield on cost of around 11.3%. Okay, so let's get on to the fun stuff and look at who has paid me dividends this month. I just want to point out one thing, and especially for my Irish listeners, I quote all my numbers here without tax. I know tax can be quite complex at times, and depending on where you are from, it will be different. So to make it easier for comparison's sake, I quote all my numbers here without tax. Now with that said, I received €297.90 in dividend income in February 2025. And I got this from 11 different companies. Now the first company that paid me was British American Tobacco. Now I have these split across 2 broker accounts. I have some in Interactive Brokers and some in DeGiro. And they paid me around €145 in dividend. Agree Realty is a monthly dividend payer and they pay me €17.95 each and every month. I also have Main Street Capital, who honestly is a relatively small position for me. I bought them with the intention of doing a little bit more research for them, and the share price just seemed to skyrocket, and I'm just going to hold them until I get an opportunity to look at them a little bit more. Realty Income paid me around €8 in dividend income. That will increase because I just added that position, so that will continue to grow next month. Siemens are also a small position in my portfolio. Honestly, in the podcast you will know how much I love these guys. I should have really backed up the truck when they were under $100. It was probably a cash flow situation at the time, and there's so many good companies out there, but it's a company I really don't have enough shares in. They paid me €31.20 in dividend income. I also have some of these CEFs and investment trusts that are part of my high yield portion of my portfolio. Initially, I was investing in US CEFs, but Interactive Brokers will not allow me to do that anymore thanks to the European Union. But I do invest in some UK investment trusts, including Greencoat UK, which I did a deep dive on for our premium members of our newsletter. So that's how much dividend income I have earned this month and how my portfolio has done. Not too much on the buying front. However, I expect that to get busier towards the end of the year. I have a lot of stuff coming up in the first 6 months of the year that I need to have extra cash aside from. But once all that is out of the way, I anticipate to be buying a lot more. So if you like these type of videos, again, please leave a comment below. Please also hit that like button. And if you're feeling nice, also hit that subscribe button. See you next time.